The year was 1955. America's love affair with the automobile was in full swing, and skiing was becoming more and more popular. Americans were hitting the slopes in droves, eager to experience the thrill of carving through snow. And lift tickets at ski resorts back then cost a tiny fraction of what they do today. We're talking lift tickets for $5, even as cheap as 50 cents on weekdays. Adjusted for inflation, lift tickets in the 1950s equated to about $64 in today's money. Skiing was still within reach for middle-class families looking to have an adventurous weekend. But over the ensuing decades, as we're about to learn, things would change in a drastic fashion. Lift ticket prices began to take on a life of their own, rising higher and higher. They increased at a rate that doubled and even tripled that of inflation. Take Vail, for example. When the iconic Colorado resort opened in 1962, lift tickets cost just $5. Fast forward to today, and a single-day peak window rate ticket now goes for a staggering $299. That's an insane 5,880% price increase over the years, compared to inflation of just under 900% over the same period. Lift ticket prices have skyrocketed beyond any normal market rate adjustment. Skiing has transformed from an accessible hobby into a luxury just for the wealthy. So what happened? How did we get to a point where the cost of a ski day for a family of 4 can easily top $1,000 without considering hotels and transport? Well, strap in. We're going to find out why skiing is so damn expensive. In the 1960s, skiing's popularity led to a huge building boom in resorts and ski infrastructure. State-of-the-art chairlifts and snowmaking allowed mountains to open earlier, close later, and carry more skiers. But all this shiny new gear and capacity didn't come cheap. Resorts were saddled with enormous capital costs to finance their expansion, and ticket prices inched upwards to cover these increasing overheads. In 1965, the average lift ticket nationwide cost $7.50, or around $73 in today's money when adjusted for inflation. That's still cheap by modern standards. The steady growth continued through the 1970s and 80s. The sport's popularity was in part boosted by the advent of the twin-tip ski and lighter plastic ski boots, which made skiing easier and more enjoyable to learn. More riders meant more demand, which allowed resorts to start pushing their ticket prices a little higher each year. It was the start of a cycle where crowds and costs fed each other in a repeating loop. Prices continued to rise further with a wave of corporatization, mergers, and acquisitions that swept through the industry. Big businesses like Vail Resorts led the charge, snapping up independents left and right. This consolidation allowed them to corner the market and set prices across the board. Customer choice was narrowed down to a handful of big industry players. In just over a decade, from the early 80s to the mid-90s, the number of U.S. ski resort owners shrank by a third. Competition plummeted, and in an increasingly monopolized environment, the major resorts realized they could maximize profits by squeezing skiers as aggressively as possible. They pioneered a market segmentation pricing strategy. Discounted season passes were used to lock in die-hard skiers early. These all-season passes helped secure more overall revenue and lock it in before the season started, no matter the ensuing weather conditions. Resorts around the country began competing for long-term revenue and dropping the prices of their season passes to attract a more loyal clientele, while raising the prices elsewhere. At the same time, window rates for single and multi-day lift tickets went through the roof. Casual or visiting skiers who bought tickets at the ticket window faced eye-watering last-minute prices. The new paradigm was simple. Hook the loyalists with cheap season passes, then mercilessly milk the casuals. And with industry consolidation removing competitive pressure, it was a wildly successful strategy, with one huge problem. Let's look at Vail again to illustrate just how dramatic the price escalations became in this period. In 1991, a single-day lift ticket at Vail went for $37, or $84 in today's terms, adjusted for inflation. Just 7 years later, in 1998, a day pass at Vail had skyrocketed to $60. Converted to 2023 money, that equates to $113. Over the 2000s, prices ascended into the financial stratosphere. By 2010, a walk-up window ticket at Vail reached $115, or in 2023 money, about $162. And this season, a jaw-dropping $229. When you adjust for inflation, window rate lift tickets at Vail have essentially doubled over the last 25 years, all while wages stagnated and the average American struggled to keep up with soaring costs everywhere else. But it didn't stop there. The industry's dynamic pricing strategy was so effective that resorts kept doubling down. They began actively discouraging visitors from buying lift tickets at the full window rate. Advance purchase discounts, restrictions on multi-day tickets, and complex discounted carve-outs for specific dates and demographics made pricing extremely opaque for consumers. Finding the actual real price of a lift ticket became akin to decoding a secret map. The message from resorts was clear. Either commit and buy a season's pass months before winter, or prepare to be financially bludgeoned if you try to buy lift tickets on the fly. This brings us to the present day, where walk-up window prices have lost all connection to any rational reality. The $200-plus lift ticket is now commonplace at premier resorts like Vail, Deer Valley, and Aspen. A family dreaming of a ski trip faces shelling out over $1,000 just for tickets, never mind the cumulative costs for travel, lodging, rentals, food, and lessons. What was once an affordable recreational escape for the middle class is increasingly becoming a hyper-exclusive pursuit, out of reach for all but the wealthy. With the pandemic triggering even more acquisitions and mergers, the coming years could see lift ticket prices continue to sail out of reach for the average skier. Many industry insiders and observers fear we are creating a new permanently moneyed overclass in skiing access, rescinding the popular affordable sport of decades past. And this is bad news for the resorts too, because it means with fewer people taking up skiing, there's less future demand predicted. Skier visits across North America are flat or down, and crucially, fewer people are learning to ski. The current model of pricing rewards season pass holders, but discourages new people from learning to ski or snowboard. That's a dangerous trap the resorts have made for themselves. They are pricing out their future customers. Combine this with the other elephant in the room, rising temperatures and melting snow, and many ski resorts have a seemingly insurmountable challenge to overcome, and it's led some to conclude that ski resorts are dying. In Europe, the rates of increase have been significantly less drastic than in America. For example, a day pass at Zermatt in Switzerland, one of the world's most expensive countries, cost around $25 back in 1980. Factoring in inflation, that equates to about $90 in today's money. Yet a daily lift ticket at Zermatt currently goes for around $115, only about a 30% inflation-adjusted increase over 40-plus years. Across the Atlantic, the European ski market is far less consolidated with way more independent resorts. The reality is, there are way more ski resorts in Europe than in North America. This increased competition puts downward pressure on pricing and provides consumers with far more choices. So while lift passes in Europe have certainly increased, visiting skiers are spared the eye-watering window rates commonplace at so many American resorts. However, it's not just price gouging that has caused ski tickets to be so expensive. The reality of climate change has really started to bite into ski resorts' margins. With less snowfall, shorter seasons, and unpredictable weather patterns, ski resorts have to invest an increasing amount of financial resources in snowmaking machinery. They also have to train the staff to operate them and pay for rising electricity and water costs. Ski resorts the world over have a very difficult business model. Resorts have similar operating costs all year round, regardless of the revenue from skiers, revenue which is fragmented between a winter peak and summer dip, even if that is supplemented by mountain bikers and hikers. Ski resort infrastructure doesn't come cheap, and a new ski lift can cost upwards of $10 million each. While the lifts have a lifetime of 30 to 40 years, installing 30 of them in a resort in one go is phenomenally expensive. None of this includes the yearly maintenance, repairs, and paying skilled staff to operate them. Grooming the runs is also an expensive part of the mix. Often, the snowcats are leased on long contracts because their capital cost is so high. $500,000 per machine is not unusual. Snow guns don't just exist on their own. They need ancillary equipment, including platforms and towers, water supply, and electricity. All things considered, it is unlikely you would get any change from $50,000. Vail has just invested in 421 new guns, so the overall cost is vast. Each year, artificial snow production becomes more and more important. Resorts have to look ahead to forecast rising costs and add them to their budget well in advance, or face going bankrupt. There's a reason so many smaller resorts have shut down or decided to sell to the larger players with bigger pockets. So, where does all this leave skiers? While single-day tickets are brutally expensive, discounts like online advance purchases, midweek and night passes, and packages for kids and seniors offer ways to carve out some savings. Planning ahead is essential. If you want to save money, you must buy ahead and commit to skiing more often, so your average ski day costs less. The Icon and Epic Pass offer access to multiple resorts for one fixed season price. This benefits those who want to ski more the best, which is good news. So while savvy skiers who plan ahead can unlock huge savings compared to the window rate, casual day trippers are left out firmly in the cold. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want more like it, please support our work by subscribing and hitting that like and notification bell. We'd love to hear what you think of the cost of ski tickets. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments section below.